We definitely know it's a new year when the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee kicks off once again. And we know the Madlanga Commission starts on the 26th. So now we know for sure it's the new year. And talking about Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee, we will give coverage to that. This is the National Pulse. My name is Ashraf Garda. You, of course, will be listening in. But while you're listening, don't just be idle. You can engage right away. And probably the best way is a WhatsApp voice note, 0614 104 107. Whatever you're up to, just message it and we'll bank it and play it when we can get the chance. So you can text as well. Hashtag the National Pulse, wherever you may be in the country, around the world. Welcome indeed to the show. So let's get then to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. The former acting National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Khomotso Phahlane, is testifying before Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee. Remember, he was appointed to be acting commissioner of the SAPS in 2015. And then in July 2017, he was asked to step aside by the then Police Minister, Fikile Mbalula. So much has happened, isn't it? All of that due to allegations of corruption and interference in police investigations. And then, of course, then he was dismissed. So let's then not miss a beat of the National Pulse and cross live to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee.
From Divisional Commissioner Forensic Services on behalf of Forensic Data Analysis Company. Exactly. Here it is. I'm complaining on behalf of FDA. FDA lodged a complaint with supply chain management. It is supply chain management that submits a complaint to me and say, can you input, can you look at it? I respond. But no, it's a complaint because even in the records that the council is reading of the arbitration, somewhere you will see they received a complaint from me. I never complained. We responded to a complaint. But important, if we were to take the honorable members into confidence. Page 247, findings of this particular bid adjudication committee. That is bid evaluation committee. Thanks, Councillor. In the light of the above facts, the following findings were made. Now, after reading them, whoever is confused, maybe I'm confused with. If they are not confused, I'm also not confused. It says, the technical experts were part and parcel of the committee who agreed that both bidders met all requirements during the evaluation and site visits. Now, this is what I was referring to. Nobody took the responsibility of leaking confidential information to forensic data analysis as contained in their complaint. Thirdly, it says, the technical experts indicated that their representatives who visited both bidders' sites were not competent enough to make informed decisions after the visits. It's them, it's not me. They are saying they were not competent. The reason why they were not competent is because a nominee of forensic services who was an expert, a crime scene expert, was excluded from participating in the evaluation. So this bid was evaluated by non-experts, and the Treasury regulations demands that when there is an evaluation, there must be an expert. The final recommendations of the panel did not highlight the concerns raised in the complaint received from their division. Now it's again their division. They were only highlighted as pros and cons. Now, those pros and cons is exactly the non-compliance issues that are being raised. Now, my letter of 2015-03-10, I was still in the office as the divisional commissioner. I've already mentioned paragraph 14 of that letter, 252. Based on the above explanation, the Division Forensic Services does not support the decision made by the Bid Adjudication Committee to award the contract to a Timber Forensic Group. If you go and look at paragraph 11 on top, it says, forensic services cannot be placed at risk and under no circumstances will the expert status of crime experts be compromised. So, Chair, if this is an afterthought, it is an afterthought 2016, the letter you are referring to of 2016, I am long no more the Divisional Commissioner of Forensic Services. There is an acting Divisional Commissioner because I left the environment on the 14th of October 2015. And in this letter, the general who wrote the letter, paragraph 7, it's on page 256. On the 6th of August 2015, a further meeting between Lieutenant General Patlane, Lieutenant General Kruse, and other members from Division Forensic Services and your office were held. During this meeting, the concerns as raised above in terms of compliance of this item to the bid specification was again discussed. When that discussion was taking place, I am still the Divisional Commissioner, Forensic Services. And I convened this meeting with General Kruse to go and discuss this thing because we are saying, can we just be helped? We are not going to buy from this thing until such time that the issues are resolved. It is following that letter of 2016-0429 that Supply Chain Management wrote a letter to National Treasury. And there is National Treasury, JKP 14, 29 September 2016. So, Chair, I'm not sure in which way am I misleading. What I can tell, and I will tell it until I die, I will never spend public funds on something that is not going to be used, especially 92 million go down the drain just because there is a glorified service provider somewhere who has been given a contract, and I must append my signature and say, place an order. I will never do that.
So, again, I'm not going to debate this with you any further. I'm not here to provide the answers, but this is the way, all that what you said now, this is how the arbitrator has dealt with it and subsequently confirmed on review in the Labour Court. And I'm looking at the award. It is item 4, dated the 16th of July 2021, from paragraph 81. The applicant's conduct, in my view, was reckless at this stage. There was a threatened legal action. The applicant, that's yourself, held the view that supply chain was insistent on this procurement despite the alleged non-compliance. He, however, failed to see that it was him or his division that were making it difficult for supply chain to act appropriately in this matter. It is not sufficient for him to merely indicate that the equipment was not compliant and not comment on the report that indicates that, in fact, the equipment is compliant. What compounds the matter is the fact that the inventor, that's Dr. Weiss, of both these cameras, was the person who was providing the opinion on the effectiveness and compliance of both. The evidence of Dr. Weiss, which of course was not contested in the arbitration, you were entitled to contest his evidence, that he was the inventor of both and understood how both these cameras worked, was not disputed or challenged. On the 2nd of October 2015, another letter from Supply Chain Division was sent to the applicant, referring to the previous correspondence where a request was made for comment. And it was indicated that this was required in order to assist supply chain to finalize the matter. Because you are the end user, you must use it. The applicant in his testimony indicated that he did not respond to this email and said that, quote, he could not grace this with a response. Again, I find the applicant's attitude to be grossly reckless and a clear dereliction of his duties. Despite the applicant's views on the compliance or non-compliance of the equipment of Itemba, there was a contract that was concluded between this entity and the respondent. The applicant indicated that the contract was worth 92 million and that he was not going to procure and spend that kind of money if that was going to not benefit the respondent. But unfortunately, by failing to assist supply chain in this regard, he was actually putting the respondent at risk of being litigated against and not even having any way of defending itself. During his testimony, General Pashlani emphasized the fact that he was not in supply chain and he didn't understand why he was dragged into the contract engagement. So the arbitrator took into account exactly what you have told the committee, that it's not you, but it's supply chain. Whilst it is so that contract management falls squarely within the domain of supply chain, the facts must be considered in the context of the prevailing circumstances at the time. The prevailing circumstances were that the respondent, through supply chain, concluded a contract with Itemba, and the end user, led by the applicant, was saying that the procured product was not compliant. Itemba provided a report that addressed the concerns raised by the end user. Supply chain was simply saying to the applicant and or the division to provide your comments on the report to assist in determining the way forward. The applicant indicated that the reason why he could not, quote unquote, grace the correspondence from supply chain with the response was because already in August 2015, there was a meeting that he held with the Divisional Commissioner Supply Chain, and that in this meeting, he had indicated that supply chain must get an independent expert to provide advice on the suitability of the product of Itemba. The challenge with this version is that it is not corroborated. On the documentation presented in the hearing, it appears that there was a meeting, but there was no minute of this meeting. Further to this issue was discussed at the meeting, testified by the applicant. I cannot understand why he could not just respond to the division, to supply chain, and tell them that he had already discussed the issue with Cruiser, and it was agreed that an independent expert be appointed. The applicant did not provide any response, and I find by failing to provide a response to the report of Dr. Visa, he put supply chain in a difficult position, as they could not just take a decision to cancel a contract without further information from the Forensic Services Division. So that is how what I had read back to you based on the information note and your narrative. This is now the concluding remarks of an arbitrator who conducted a hearing, witnesses testified, you testified, and this is what he concludes at paragraph 98 of the award. On the totality of the evidence, I find that the respondent has proved on a balance of probabilities that the applicant intentionally caused the non-compliance in respect of contract 19/1/9/1/187 for the purchase of 360-degree panoramic cameras. I, with respect, General Pashlani, I think you've given your view and you've indicated why you don't agree. I rely on the documents I have in front of me, the arbitration award that has now been taken unsuccessfully on review to the Labour Court. I don't see why or how any further discussion or debate on this issue is going to assist the Honourable Committee. I think your views have been made known pretty strongly, and they will obviously take that into account.
Chair, may I say the last thing? Let me just stick to the fact. Reference is made here to Dr. Weiss, and these honorable members and our beloved country is being told that I'm supposed to believe Dr. Weiss, a German, who is a service provider. Atemba is buying the cameras that he was selling to us from Vase. So Atemba is a local supplier. Vase is an overseas manufacturer of this so-called 360, the Civita that you are talking of. Vase happens to have worked for the company that manufactured Spheron, the 360 camera that we as the South African Police Service have deployed successfully so. That 360 camera, the Spheron, actually assisted us immensely in the Oscar Pistorius case. That's the first big case where that camera was being used. Vase happened to have left Spheron having stolen the intellectual property of Spheron, and he went to establish his own Civita camera. And he now sells it to us through Atemba. Now, when you say I had a meeting with him, it was me, I refer to it in my testimony, that on the 28th of October 2014, after my letter of the 22nd of October 2014, I called both Atemba and FDA to come and demonstrate their cameras so that we can have a closer look. What is the capability of these cameras? Because this local supplier, Atemba, was just a middleman. They were not able to demonstrate that particular camera. They brought the German Dr. Vase to my meeting. I never invited Vase. I invited the suppliers who were bidding. I have invited Atemba because they were awarded the contract. Now, whether it's the judge, whether it is the arbitrator, now I hear today, I'm supposed to have believed what Dr. Vase is saying. How do I believe one supplier while the rules of the game say an independent assessment? It's Treasury regulations that say, subject this to an independent assessment. And I'm saying it here today. To date, it's not done. Once again, if I have to suffer because of not having listened to a German person called Dr. Vase, let it be. I will never spend a single cent on buying something that is not going to be useful to forensic services. And consistently so, my colleagues have said so. Now, Chair, I thought we moved long away from the so-called dismissal. I have traversed that issue. I thought I'm talking about the Spheron. There was, for long I've been saying paragraph E, but at least I have spoken to those issues that are covered on paragraph E, which is until paragraph 81 on the same. And if we were true to each other, Chair, paragraph, I'm going to use just two paragraphs. Paragraph 79, it's on page 31 of the affidavit.
Before we go there, can we take Honorable Skosan?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, I was a bit confused as well that I thought the matter of the submission which was given to General Patlana this morning, the issue of the arbitration, those matters, the matter of labor court, Because I thought that General Patlane said to us that the matter is in the appeals door, if I remember well. Now, I'm not sure, are we back to that again, what the evidence leader was reading now? We are back to that, or it's a different story altogether? And my follow-up question to General Patlane is, are you saying that, if I want to understand, I'm not putting aspersions on that. Is Dr. Weiss, in your view, conflicted in this matter? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, he is definitely conflicted because one, he worked for Spheron, which is the camera that FDA was selling. There, he was fired at Spheron. Then he left and went to establish a company of his own to manufacture Sevita camera, which allegedly is an improvement from Spheron, but I can't vouch for that. So now he is the one, in actual fact, he's the one who's selling. But then even in the council reads here what comes from the arbitration award. I'm told, I'm supposed, because he gave an opinion, I was supposed to say, I'm satisfied. Let's proceed with the order. A conflicted person, he's the one person, he actually is the one who is selling through a timber to us. Now, I must disregard the prescripts. I must disregard what the experts are saying and say, because Dr. Weiss has spoken, let's carry on and spend the 24 million. Now,
I'm going to leave the ad hoc committee just for now, but we'll get back soon. And that voice you'll be hearing is of the former acting National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Khomotso Patlane. Right now, there's lots else happening at the Commission and around the world. Let's get all the news headlines now with Ondiyale Mbana.
Thank you, Ashraf. For the news headlines, heavy rainfall has impacted access and movement within Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Some routes to access camps are flooded. Agriculture Minister Johnston Hazen says the first batch of a monthly order of 1 million units of foot and mouth disease vaccine from Botswana's Vaccine Institute is expected in South Africa soon for the mass vaccination program. And the American-based human rights group HRANA says the number of people killed in the latest nationwide protests in Iran stands at more than 2,500. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M2 westbound in Crown has delays towards Main Reef Road. The M1 southbound in Southgate, slow moving towards Columbine Avenue due to the N12 closure. And the R59 southbound in Alberton has a crash before Klip River Drive. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg queuing towards Market Road, and the R56 as where truck crashes reported south of Richmond towards Ikopo. In Cape Town, the M3 northbound queuing towards Rhodes Drive, Main Road is slow moving towards Cork Bay, and Main Road northbound in Newlands slow moving towards Dean Street. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
In fact, Tumi is not around because she's got an eye on AFCON. And in fact, so do I, and definitely so does Zai.
Yeah, we've got our eyes all on AFCON. We are looking for the big goals, the big egos. We've got the golden boot that's been contested as well. So yeah, definitely the stage set for blockbuster action tonight. 2 semi-finals. We've got Senegal facing Egypt at 7 p.m. before the host Morocco take on Nigeria. And that's at 9 p.m. with a place for Sunday's final on the line. Beyond national pride, another battle. The golden boot race. Morocco's Brahim Diaz leads the way away with 5 goals in 5 matches, carrying the hopes of our host nation chasing its first AFCON title in 50 years. Close behind are the familiar heavyweights, Mohamed Salah for Egypt and Victor Osimhen for Nigeria, both on 4 goals, while Nigeria's Ademola Lookman continues to shine as the tournament's top creator with 4 assists. Let's go to Egypt's national team captain and Liverpool star, Mohamed Salah, hungry for his maiden Africa Cup of Nations title. And just like the rest of the team is putting in extra effort to achieve that. This is according to Salah's countryman and teammate Mahmoud Trezeguet Hassan.
Of course, we all saw Mohamed Salah. MashaAllah, I mean, for me, he's the best player in the world. That's my personal opinion. Of course, we all saw him taking on roles we've never seen before. He's the first one to track back and defend, and he's the one who tries the hardest. Of course, he really wants to win this tournament. So, no, of course, there's a spirit, a beautiful spirit in the camp. All the players love each other. All the players want to achieve something. All the players want to make their country proud. And all the players can feel how happy the people in Egypt are and the people. So every player who goes on the pitch forgets his name, forgets his position. The striker is the first one to defend, and the whole team is united as one. If you saw the players on the bench, how they are fully supporting their teammates, and how much they wish, like a player would bring his teammates' boots or pick him up off the ground. They'd do anything, just so we can make our country proud, God willing.
There we go. That's Egypt's, one of their player, Mahmoud Trezeguet Hassan, on the national pulse. Let's go now to the other team that's contending with Egypt. They've got 7 Senegalese players walking a suspension tightrope ahead of the final. Head coach Papetiao insists this will not influence his plans as the Lions of Teranga prepare to field a full-strength side against Egypt tonight.
I think they are 2 world-class players who have really shown and continue to show extraordinary things. But on our side, I can only speak about Sadio. We know that he is a very, very, very important player in our system. On the technical side, he's the team's technical leader, and also on the mental side, and also off the pitch. So I think he's an example, and he is exemplary for us, and he's a monument for us. I also think it's the same for Mo Salah in his country. After all, they are Africans, and we really wish for them to continue to show the way as they have done, as they show with their national teams.
Hello, Coach. Batu Sal, Planet Sport. Tomorrow you will face the
We head
Ivory
now
Coast
to
team
some
and the
action, and that is with the Paul Royals captain David Miller saying belief and togetherness has been central to their turnaround this end to SA20 season. The team's camaraderie proving just as important as runs and wickets as they surge into the top 2.
The guys have trained really hard, and we've got a really good team vibe going. Everyone's kind of backing each other, supporting each other. You know, it's become one of those close-knit teams. So that definitely helps a lot in, you know, believing in each other and supporting each other all the way through. So.
Let's go now to the Durban Super Giants coach. Lance Klusener says they have let captain Aiden Markram down, having brought the 2-time title winner to Kingsmead ahead of season 4 of the SA20. Now, Durban Super Giants campaign hanging by the thinnest of threads.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden's won this competition a number of times, played the final, so he knows how to get it done. I thought he's been outstanding, the contributions that he's been getting, but or been giving. But ultimately, we need to execute our plans. We need to build those partnerships as batters, and maybe, you know, get the hundreds that win you the game. So those small little things, those small little attention to details, we probably let everybody down. You know, but Aiden's been outstanding. He's a superb leader. He's just an inspiration to us all, and we've enjoyed his company. And it's a little bit frustrating to have let him down a little bit.
And finally, rugby. Springbok prop Oxen Chair says the Sharks are under no illusions about what is required when they host Claremont at Kings Park on Saturday.
And yeah, get as many points really, and yeah, hopefully the aim is to win, get a maximum point, and also hopefully get a few extra points, just to change that points defense a bit. And yeah, I think we're going all in. We're seeing it as a playoff match.
And that's your sport. We'll tackle more here on the National Pulse at the top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Thanks, Zion. I tell you what, there's no question about it that my plan is to watch both games, so when I get home, 7 o'clock, right up to midnight, there's nothing else I plan to be doing. It is the National Pulse after all.
I don't love school. I don't love trying to learn like everyone else learns and falling behind when I don't understand. But I do love learning. I do love working to my own schedule and getting the support when I need extra help. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before the 19th of January.
The Lions of Teranga have a big plan to demonstrate that they are the 2021 champions. However, the Pharaohs want to emphasize that they are the 7-time record holders. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Catch the semi-final contest between Senegal and Egypt this Wednesday, 14 January at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Plus, SABC2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 7 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM brings back the voices that shaped a nation.
Now leave the SABC and see the tower block lit up, 27 stories of light. Move from Auckland Park into the shadow of the Hillbrow Post Office Tower.
This is the English service of the SABC. Here is the news read by Patricia Carr. A member of the Planning Committee of the President's Council, Mr. Nick Turnich, has been appointed chairman of the Council's Community Relations Community.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM. Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Not quite now, but later on, once we are done with today's session at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee testimony, we will talk more about AGOA. Don't miss that. But for now, yes, we need to cross once again to Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee testimony, and you hear the testimony this time of the former Acting National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Khomotso Phatlane.
Whether the payments were essentially as a result of a decision arising after 12 months of the appointment without the service provider being given orders to provide the first consignment as the contract was worked out and developed. So I hope you got that question. That's a question I have for you. But then I want to comment on the point that Honorable Bredenbach is raising. I mean, I've been talking to my colleague next to me, Honorable Sangoni, saying to her, I'm not sure, Chairperson, I'm not very certain where are we traveling to, given the extent to which the senior counsel is engaging the witness on the matter at hand. But my own attitude is always to wait a bit before I can intervene, because sometimes you intervene earlier or when you are about to arrive at a destination where you are being led to. But the concern that Honorable Bredenbach is raising is a valid concern. I also have heard that concern, Senior Counsel. I thought we were overdoing this part of the questioning to the witness. But like I'm saying, I thought maybe one should give you a benefit of a doubt. We may be getting closer to where we're going, but I was worried we're taking longer. And I was beginning to talk to Kusela that I am not sure where exactly are we going to be ending on this aspect. Especially because that's my last point, Chair, and my approach for being long. Especially because where there are contentious matters or there are disputes of facts between what a judge and somebody else, I can't remember the name, has done, and the witness, and we spend a lot of time on that conversation, how does that help us to resolve our own issues as the Portfolio Committee? So that's an area that I would like our senior counsel to reflect on, consistent with what Honorable Bredenbach was raising. Thanks, Chair. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Honorable Malema.
No, thanks, Chair. I think the Chief Whip dealt with it and the Honorable Bredenbach. If we were to calculate how much we made from 9 until now, working for Parliament, it will not be worth it. You are actually going to eat people's money for nothing. I don't know what we're doing from the morning until now. I don't know what this exercise we are engaged in helps this committee with in relations to the terms of reference. Can we please get somewhere? We need to move because really we've been keeping quiet, all of us. And some of us, it's unlike us, to allow a situation where we spend a lot of time on a matter that we've been told is actually even before the courts. And you intervened and said you heard that this matter, our awaiting judgment is on appeal or something like that. Trying to caution the senior counsel on try by means to avoid going deeper into that thing because a judge will come and say, actually, this is the position. Still, even after that intervention, we're still not making progress. When we break, go and talk to each other and agree on the direction we're going to take. We come back, we proceed as if there was never a break to engage on this matter. So, Chair, please, we need to leave this point. We must leave it and go to issues that are relevant to this committee. Thanks.
Honorable Matthews.
I've been covered now, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Can I take your response before I speak on the matter that the honorable members have raised? There are questions that you have been asked, General. Are you able to respond to those questions?
Those that I remember because they were long, but I'll try. First, maybe I start with Honorable Breitenbach. It's not me who brought the.
Yeah, don't respond to that one.
In actual fact, it's paining me to be taken through the very same thing, which has got inaccuracies, things that I don't agree with, but maybe there is a reason. In respect of what the honorable member Ntuli raised, even how they arrived at, I think it's Honorable Shongwe, how they arrived at the figures of 24 million, and so it will be found in JKP 16. I was not party to it. I see here there is a memorandum which was drafted to the State Attorney's Office by DP Dupree SC and Botma. On the pages, I think paragraph 4 or so until 6, the figures are there, how they arrived at. But I cannot tell the reasoning behind these particular figures. What I saw before November 2016, the first letter of demand was 14 million. How it escalated from 14 to 24 and now to 31 million, I really don't know. And what Honorable Ntuli asked, remember this payment gets made 2018, 2019. This was a 2-year contract, which means the first year of it would have been 2015 because it was awarded in 2014, July. So 2015 would have been the first year, and then it would have ended in 2016, somewhere there around. And so this was not, the money that was made was not related to any procurement. In other words, There was never an expectation that there is going to be a camera or an item which is going to be delivered. It is the civil claim. I see somewhere here they even say the South African Police Service was not able to justify or bring anything on the table in respect of the quantum. So they basically agreed to what the service provider was offering. And before I forget, there was something that I did not mention when I was responding to counsel on Vase. Vase himself, during the arbitration, if the records are read properly, he considered that he saw in the correspondence that the South African Police Service has expressed the need to have the product subjected to an independent assessment. And in his own testimony, he said, I agree that was the right thing to do. He even said this could have been done by approaching universities or institutions. In our case, we know which institutions were dictated by National Treasury, being SABS and what is it, CSIR. But to date, it was not done. So simply put, that was what was supposed to be the case. Yeah, I don't think, is there a question I missed?
By Honorable Shongwe.
It's responded to that question. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay. The honorable members are right on the point that they emphasize, and we have not said it once in the proceedings. We said it many times that General Patlani, we are not a dispute resolution forum, and we are not in a review process. The facts were stated very early in the proceedings that these matters are before the Labour Appeals Court. And it was even before we took the lunch break that I said, if there are any matters that are related to our terms of reference, which we can take out of the court proceedings, let us be alerted to those matters. And look, the matter only comes now that there has been a transaction that is suspected of financial improprieties, where an amount of about 31 million has been paid. If, for instance, when this matter was presented for the first time to say, we will not focus on the processes that are before court, but the committee must take note that there is this transaction which has happened, and we think that this was improper because the state lost money. Whether it was a corrupt transaction, unlawful, or unreasonable, in whatever way that transaction may be described, it is brought to the attention of the committee to probe it. And the rest of the matters that are before court, we leave them for the court. It's not for us here to justify whatever award the court would have arrived at or whatever judgment the Labour Court would have arrived at. We can arrive at the appeals court and it overturns those decisions that have been previously taken. In fact, we have instances where we had even the Constitutional Court itself condemning not only the judgments, but the conduct of judges who made those judgments. So if we can have focus And I must apologize, Honorable Breitenbach, because immediately when we started after lunch, you sent a note here to say, but Chairperson is like, we are going off the rail even when you have warned that we need to focus ourselves to the terms of reference. So can we take up matters that fall within the terms of reference of, we no longer want to hear anything about the arbitration award. Look, General Patan, when you live here, if there is an arbitration award or a labor court judgment, this committee will not change it. If there is an appeal pending, this committee does not have any influence over that process. We can't influence it in any way. We are going to wait for, like you, for the day that a judgment will be made. And SC, we are appealing for the last time that it is not the purpose of this committee to demonstrate to General Patani that the judgments or the awards that have been made are right or are wrong. It's not our purpose. Let's look for matters that fall within our terms of reference and deal with them. If there is any, we have said it in many occasions, witnesses that come before us are not accused persons. They are South Africans who come here to have a conversation with us as a committee and help us to probe the allegations that have been made. If there is corruption in the SAPS and there is a witness who has information that helps us to probe those corrupt activities, let's allow that witness to give us a chance. For instance, now, if you have any information about the 31 million that has been paid, and the South African you allege that the South African state would have lost money, give us that information. We will deal with it and make the necessary recommendations on how that matter has to be processed. I think that is adequate, and we should be able to move forward. Honorable members understand that they have given you their time, they have been tolerant, and we must not take advantage that it is still January, we still have other 11 months to come. No, let's focus. Thank you so much.
May I say one thing, Chair?
No, I think I have spoken to you. I have drilled what the honorable members have said. So I'm now handing over back to yourselves to continue with the presentation of evidence. But it must be within the confines of what members have said.
May I proceed, Honourable Chair? General Pashlani, the next item you deal with in your affidavit quite extensively, which is from item F, political interference in the South African Police Service, and you deal with it from paragraphs 82 onwards, 82 to 109. I want to ask you specifically about the allegation that in relation to crime intelligence, the appointment of Richard Ndluli, which is at paragraph 92 of your statement. You allege that the process followed by the late Minister, Nadine Detwa, was fell outside of established practice. You alleged that the late minister had failed to present a submission to Cabinet for the appointment of the head of intelligence, which you allege was the practice at the time.
Maybe, Chair, I have.
All right, we're just going to leave that for the moment. In fact, what we'll do, we'll get back to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee after the news, which comes up shortly.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program, evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
You certainly are. And just a reminder that, of course, being the National Pulse, as we did last year, we will give you, can I say, wall-to-wall, ball-by-ball coverage of the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee hearings, and the same with the Madlanga Commission when it starts around the 26th of this month as well. Now, it does mean, of course, that we have less variety in terms of what else we do, but we do know this is really important to you, and therefore we also can't take live calls when the Commission's running at any given time. But it does mean we can bank your WhatsApp voice notes or text messages, so send them right away, just in terms of what your thoughts of what you've heard today. What did you hear today that was quite remarkable? WhatsApp 0614 104 107, and we'll play it as soon as we can. Right now, let's get the news. It's 4 o'clock. Here's on Dela Mbana.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, motorists urged to avoid the N12 westbound before the Diepkloof interchange, and heavy rain impacts parts of the Kruger National Park. For SFM News, I'm Ondalambana, and a very good afternoon. Motorists in southern Johannesburg are urged to avoid the N12 westbound before the Diepkloof interchange following a shooting involving police and suspected criminals. All lanes have been closed. Heavy traffic delays are being experienced. Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department spokesperson Xolani Fihla.
There's a shooting incident on the N12 West. This before the Diepkloof interchange involving police and criminals. All lanes on the N12 West are currently blocked off to traffic due to the crime scene. Law enforcement and emergency services are on scene, and the closure is causing heavy delays in the area as motorists avoid that scene. Motorists are advised to exercise caution and to avoid the N12 West traveling towards Uncle Charlie's and Diepkloof interchange, and rather use alternative routes such as Xavier Street off the N12.
Heavy rainfall has impacted access and movement within Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Some routes to access camps are flooded. Currently, there is no access from Skukuza to Lower Sabi, Crocodile Bridge, Chokwane and Satara due to the flooded Sabilo Water Bridge and Tators. The Pafuri Gate and Punda Maria Gate remain closed. National Parks Head of Communications, JP Lowe.
Access to Skukuza Rest Camp is recommended via Paul Kruger Gate. Pabeni Gate is currently still open, but may be impacted at short notice due to levels of the river. Access to Malelane Satellite Camp and Bergendown Rest Camp is via Malelane Gate. Access to Crocodile Bridge Rest Camp and Lower Sabi Rest Camp is via Crocodile Bridge Gate. Access to Open Rest Camp and Satara Rest Camp is via Open Gate. Access to Olifants Rest Camp, Letaba Rest Camp and Mopani Rest Camp is through the Palabora Gate or Open Gate. Access to Pretoria's Rest Camp is via Numbi Gate or Pabeni Gate. It is also important to note that there is no access to the far north of the park, as the situation there remains the same.
Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen says the first batch of a monthly order of 1 million units of foot and mouth disease vaccine from Botswana's Vaccine Institute is expected in South Africa soon for the mass vaccination program. Steenhuisen has told a media conference in Cape Town that the mass vaccination would start in hotspot areas and be repeated in 3 months. Steenhuisen says the department has vaccinated nearly 2 million animals since the disease re-emerged last year. He says moves are underway that may lead to a state of disaster being declared.
A cabinet memo is being prepared for the first cabinet meetings of this year, where we'll be approaching national government to declare FMD a state of disaster. And what we hope that will do will allow us then to be able to, through the NAC joints system, get greater cooperation from the SAPS, municipal traffic departments, provincial traffic departments, and perhaps even the SANDF to assist us with ensuring that movement controls are dealt with. And we need the relevant authorities to assist us with manning roadblocks and ensuring that the undocumented movement of animals has to come to an end.
Tamugo Matong from Sitswago Singh Secondary School in Morukweng has emerged as the best performing Matric 2025 learner in the Northwest Province, earning the Top Achiever accolade. He achieved 7 distinctions with an outstanding average of 96%. His highest mark is 99% in life sciences, followed by 98% in mathematics, physical sciences and geography. Matong says he did not expect this achievement, especially as a learner from a no-fee school that serves a poor community and has limited resources.
There are no words to express the happiness in my heart. I did not expect to be the overall top learner in the Northwest because it is tough, especially for learners from Quintile 2 schools, to compete with those from Quintile 4 and 5 schools that are more resourced.
This really highlights the hard work of the department in addressing equality, to make sure all learners get proper education, all learners get quality education despite the quintile, despite their background.
The American-based human rights group Arana says the number of people killed in the latest nationwide protest in Iran stands at more than 2,500. The group says 12 are children. The figure comes as President Trump urges Iranians to continue protesting, but the BBC's Kashaya Junedi says the sheer number of people killed seemed to be scaring Iranians as fewer appear to be demonstrating.
The reports that we do get show that there has been a massive massacre of protesters across the country. The estimates vary. We know that, for example, this human rights organization is giving the figure of more than 2,000. There are other figures of 12,000, maybe as high as 20,000 people dead. So, yes, there's been a massive killing.
Recapping the top story, motorists in southern Johannesburg are urged to avoid the N12 westbound before the Dibkloof interchange following a shooting involving police and suspected criminals. I'm Ondilambana for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
And it's now time for your National Pulse Sport. We'll head to AFCON, where the Egypt head coach Hossam Hassan believes that the African coaches deserve trust as they are all in this semi-final. And we'll bring you the latest from cricket with the SA20 hotting up while the Durban Super Giants season hanging by a thread. The details are on 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Klip River Drive in Malbarton, as a crash reported at True North Road. The M2 westbound in Crown has delays towards Main Reef Road, and the M1 southbound in Southgate slow moving towards Columbine Avenue due to that N12 closure. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg queuing towards Market Road, and there's a stationary vehicle on the N3 northbound after Linfield Park. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound is slow moving towards Okavango Road. Strand Street westbound is slow moving, and that's towards High Level Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
How's it, Mzansi? I'm Clementine Musimani. Step into the all-new era of telenovelas, comedy, and more on SABC2. Arey!
The Morning Brief.
What about what Gwede Mantashe said do you find problematic?
Gwede Mantashe, I'm calling upon you to withdraw that shameful statement that you made in the interview, blaming the unemployed for their own unemployment. Cyril Ramaphosa, Fikile Mbalula, I call upon you to condemn your chairperson for making such a thoughtless statement. Now, let me just say that South Africans must understand the maths of this unemployment crisis. And has Gwede Mantashe forgotten that 3 months ago in October, 1 million people applied for 5,500 jobs in the police service?
Duma Kubule, economist and research associate at the Social Policy Initiative.
Asizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief. Find the podcast at safm.co.za.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.2 FM in Thohoyandou.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
I have to tell you, and I don't want to forget saying this, one of the great things about, first day at school, particularly for grade ones, right, are those pictures of these young children with their parents. It just is something, isn't it? If you've done that, or your family members, well, either tag us, hashtag the National Pulse on the Twitter or Facebook as well, or you can even send it to us via WhatsApp right away. So check it out, 0614 104 107. If you have names to give, do that as well. We'll talk about it as soon as we can. Right now, however, we need to go where we have been for the first parts of the show already, Parliament's ad hoc committee.
Politicians, and that politician is the president and the minister in respect of the head of the Hawks. So if it is wrongly placed there, I don't know where it belongs.
No, I'm not telling you. You placed it here, like
Honorable
we've done
Sangone.
before.
Advocate, may we please take Honorable Sangone.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon to yourself, honorable members. Thank you for accepting my apology. Good afternoon, General. No, mine was just a clarity-seeking issue on the memorandum you sent to DPSA. Can you just explain that? Who returned the memorandum? Basically, who said the process has changed? You don't have to go to cabinet. Thank you, Chair.
I'm speaking under correction because it's long ago, but I think the person who called me was the spokesperson of the Minister of Public Service and Administration. At the time, the minister was Minister Baloyi, and what came to me was there was a conversation between the Minister of Public Service and Administration and our former late minister. And I also spoke to the minister because when it came, when that call came, somewhere I was expecting cabinet approval. But then the minister said, no, there were discussions. And following those discussions, this is the position. We can go ahead and announce the appointment.
Sorry, Chair, not to blame. No written instruction. It was just a conversation. Thank you, Chair.
We can proceed, yes.
General Poslani, you put this issue of the appointment of General Mludli under the heading political interference. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not making things up. So, is this, because it sounds to me like it was the case, is or was this an irregular appointment? In other words, some procedure or process, either statutory or by protocol, was that not followed in this case? Or was it a case of an executive authority overreaching and using or abusing that authority to make an appointment for political reasons. Can you clarify that for us?
Chair, that part of an appointment made for political reasons, I'm not going to respond to it because I don't know. All I know, which is what I have already said, was that there is a set process. And that process was the National Commissioner advertises, the National Commissioner appoints a selection panel, the National Commissioner makes a recommendation. Those recommendations are forwarded to DPSA through the Minister of Police. They are being signed off, go to Cabinet, come back, an appointment is being made. So I'm not going to dwell into whether it was irregular or unlawful. I'm saying the law, I just said the Constitution say only 2 police people are appointed by the President. First, the National Commissioner. 2, the head of the Hawks. I'm now talking about the South African Police Service. There is no provision for a minister to put together or chair a panel, whereas in this case, you did not have even the National Commissioner. I was not there as a panel member. I was there facilitating the process. So I'm not going to take it further than what it is. All I'm saying is that this is what the law is saying. This is what the rules of the game is saying. And that's why I say I make reference to even the 2020 protocol, DPSA protocol. I think I'm making reference to it somewhere in this affidavit. I'll find it and talk to it later.
Sorry, are you?
I'm not looking for it now.
Okay.
I'm
So-
allowing you. If I
so
find it, I'll come back.
It sounds to me that what you are saying under this heading, that this appointment was unprocedural. You said in your evidence that you don't have a particular issue with Richard Nduli, and in fact is qualified as a police officer.
Well, I don't have issue with General Mdluli. He may not have been in crime intelligence before his appointment, but he was appointed there. He did not appoint himself within crime intelligence. So whoever makes noise about him being the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, they've got reasons for them making so. But as a fellow colleague, as someone that has done work for years, I can't take away anything from him in as far as a manager and an investigating officer or a commander of investigations are concerned. I'm not going to dwell into other things that are being said about him. They are outside my scope. But he's a fellow officer. I actually trained with him when we were on officers' course here in PAL way back in 1993.
There's 2 reasons why I...
Honorable Sokanyile.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. General, I wanted to check on the issue that you are raising, where the panel was chaired by the minister. That's an anomaly. Then after that, because there are working relations between the head of the administration and the political leader within that department, then the working relations, if you want to have a sound department, there must be those working relations that are sound. Did you raise it with the minister, this anomaly, so that it is not referred to as a precedent? Because it's an anomaly as you are raising it. Did you raise it with the minister, or you simply kept quiet, or the relations were no longer good? They were sour between the minister and yourself.
Honorable Chair, maybe, Honorable Member, let's not make a mistake. I was not the National Commissioner or the Acting National Commissioner at the time. The Acting National Commissioner was Commissioner Tim Williams. I was the head of HR, and I report to the National Commissioner. That is why, when he could not sit on the panel and he was not happy with that process, he said to me, just facilitate this process. But as to what deliberations were there between them, I'm sorry, I can't assist.
Management meeting where the heads sit, you never spoke about it.
Management meetings where the heads sit, well, that's why I'm talking about it. It's something that I never kept quiet about it. It's something that we have raised. I was the head of HR, and while I say, and the reason why I was putting this is, if we say there is political interference today, let's not narrow it and say this is political interference. We can't be selective. It's about how we manage, because what we must understand always is that there's a close relationship between politics and policing, because politicians are governing. When politicians are governing, we as police or administrators, we implement government policy, government decisions. So it's a decision that was taken where it was taken, and we follow suit in terms of implementing. There was really no need to cause hullabaloo in this regard.
Are you fine, Honorable Sokanyi? May we proceed?
Thank you. The reason why I asked you, General Paslani, is the three. Firstly, you raised the issue of the appointment of Richard Mdluli under the heading of political interference in the context of you, in your words, saluting Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi by taking the country into his confidence and saying that the issues raised by him was because of political interference in the administration and operations of the South African police has been prevalent for years, especially post the African National Congress Polokwane Conference. The second reason is that you use at paragraph at paragraph 92, the second last sentence, you talk about, I encountered, and your words, glaring political interference in this process of filling the vacant post of Divisional Commissioner of Police. And then thirdly, your reference at paragraph 90, where you say that during the tenure of Commissioner Tim Williams, the post of Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence became vacant. Assistant Commissioner Mhlangi Mpego, who was for years served in various capacities in crime intelligence, was appointed for over a year as the acting Divisional Commissioner. Crime Intelligence, the vacant post of the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence was advertised. Mpejo, together with others, expressed their interest and applied for the post. The candidature and recommendation of Assistant Commissioner Mpejo was questioned with some underlying political undertones. The discomfort with the recommendations and candidature of Assistant Commissioner Mpejo resulted in the post being withdrawn and re-advertised. So that is the context in which I ask you that question. But today, with respect, we get some sanitized answer that actually, yes, I'm using the word sanitized. And I'm inviting you to expand on your answer, because it seems as if this is a procedural irregularity that the late minister, may his soul rest in peace, had used some other procedure for the appointment of Richard Ndludi.
Chair, I don't know what is sanitized, and this is where I've got some difficulties. I've already, while Council started by moving away from the beginning of this F, I took you back there to say, let me take you back and do. So there is no sanitization here. The issues which are in here stands unless we go verbatim on what I've written, which is, I'm glad to talk about. In paragraph, let me first talk about the General Mkhwanazi statement and why I say I salute him. General Mkhwanazi went public on issues which are of national importance. And when he went public, that was not the first time that he's raising those issues. I know he said he was in Parliament, I think on once or twice, on the related issues and so on. Nothing happened to those issues until he went on the 6th of July 2025. Here we are. We have got an ad hoc committee. We have got Madlanga. Could it not have happened after the March parliamentary sessions? Even worse, if the National Commissioner did not agree with the decision of the minister, why did we wait until Parliament? Because this is within the ambit or area of responsibility and the mandate and scope of the National Commissioner, where we could have assisted the process by saying, hang on, Minister, I think we are now a step too far in respect of this, if that was the case. So it did not have to wait until March, it did not even have to wait until February. But I'm putting it here, General Mkhwanazi said it before the committee, that he had deposed an affidavit he wanted to go and speak at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. I'm saying the same here, that I had an affidavit. On these issues of McBride, O'Sullivan, and so on, I was called to the Portfolio Committee on Police on the 16th of May 2016. Nkabinde raised these issues thereafter. If you go 16th of May 2016, fast forward, I get to the point where I'm told I must go and sit home. Who addressed the issues that were there? If they were addressed, we will be talking a different story. Counter investigations and so on flew. So it is on that basis that I'm saying General Mkhwanazi did the right thing by speaking on the issues that are of serious concern. And here we are, we have got the platform at least to address it. If the commission or the inquiry that was recommended by Judge Zondo was in place, maybe these things would have been ventilated there. He is not the only one who would have wanted to go there. These issues would have been raised lately in that platform. Chair, am I talking to myself?
We are here, General.
No, I know you are listening, but
No. This you are you are appearing before the committee. You are not appearing before.
So I must not worry about
You're
you.
not appearing before Advocate Arens.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to hear. I must not worry about their conversations.
Nobody says you must not worry. What we are saying is that you are not appearing before Advocate Arens. You are appearing before this committee.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Mokhalaka.
And Chair, to be fair to the SC, sometimes when SC ask him questions, he will be busy looking at the documents while the SC is speaking. It happens in this kind of proceedings. So we must be patient with each other here. And like you said, it is not the SC's committee, it's our committee. We're listening.
Yeah.
And we're taking everything into consideration. So SC has to be consulting, because if he asks us to adjourn and then he speaks to his colleagues, when are we going to finish? These colleagues of the SC, they're not here for the sake of being here. They need to help him. And when he's paying attention, it looks like he's now being treated unfairly. It's unacceptable what is happening to the SC. It's not done.
General Patlan. When Advocate Arens speaks to his colleagues who are young African female advocates who in the history of this country never had an opportunity to be at this level. We want male South Africans like yourself to appreciate and marvel at that moment.
For the sake of progress, Chair, I'm here, I'm just a witness. All I'm saying is that...
Not for the sake of progress.
No, for my sake.
That national consciousness is what we want.
No, that I agree with, Chair, but I'm saying earlier I was answering a question and then I could see I was not followed. The same question was being repeated. This thing that I was talking about.
It's
but
fine.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's
Listen,
okay.
General, the members of the committee are here.
Okay.
If you listen to what Honorable Malema says, we are here, all of us. And that is why you see from time to time they come in and ask questions for clarity. And there were moments where they also allowed you to move your chair back to get counsel there. And you also said it by your own mouth that I'm speaking to learned people here. So let's have that tolerance. It's our meeting, all of us who are having a conversation.
All right. It is, it's important. It's also hugely entertaining, isn't it? Parliament's ad hoc committee. We'll get back there as soon as we can. But right now we need to get up to date with what's happening around the world. So here's the news heads at 4:30.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, Basic Education Minister Sivuyo Kwagube says school nutrition programs are essential for learning as hungry children struggle to concentrate and stay in school. Motorists in southern Johannesburg are urged to avoid the N12 westbound before the Diepkloof interchange following a shooting involving police and suspected criminals. And US President Donald Trump says NATO will become more effective if Greenland belonged to the United States. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg Hose.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg, slow moving towards Crown Interchange, the N3 northbound in Bedford View, slow moving on the link to the N12 East at Gilulis Interchange, and Atterbury Road eastbound in Pretoria has a crash reported at January Masilela Drive. In KZN, on the N2 northbound, there's a crash on the link to the M4 North. Smoke also reported on the N2 southbound after Shakas Rock Road ramp, so you're asked to expect lane closures. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound slow moving towards Racecourse Road exit, the N2 outbound is slow moving towards Bunga Avenue, and the R302 Wellington Road in Durbanville slow moving at Brackenfell Boulevard. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Right, Zai. I mean, the name Hossam Hassan is very important in the context of CAF, African Cup of Nations, and of course Egyptian football. But he has a lot more to say ahead of tonight's semi-final.
Oh, yeah. He's talking about African coaches are not the guests anymore. They are almost hosting. And the AFCON coaching CV is saying it all. Plenty of the coaches, in fact, all of them that's in the semi-final are from, the continent. And that's for the first time in more than 60 years that the teams in the AFCON semi-finals are led by African coaches. And that's a moment that the Egyptian legend Hossam Hassan believes should reshape thinking across the continent. He says the success of local coaches isn't new, pointing to past AFCON triumphs and trailblazers who set the standard long before this tournament.
I believe the national coach is the first and most capable, in my opinion. Not because I'm in charge, I'm saying this even if I were not. The national coach is closer to the national player himself because the information, the feeling and the sense of the country and the people are greater. The matter is not just about money. So I hope that this experience, God willing, that we, until the end, God willing, for us as the Egyptian national team, we can bring back the glories that happened with Captain Hassan Shehata and Captain Mahmoud El Gohari, God willing, and that all African teams follow the same path of giving opportunities to their own people.
Okay, we're going to just reconnect with Zai in just a second, if we can. A reminder, of course, this is the sports feature within the National Pulse. And if we can't quite get to her right away, we'll do it later. By the way, you certainly can add your thoughts with regards to your own expectations for the African Cup of Nations semi-finals. So the first game at 7 p.m., not 6 p.m., 7 p.m. The second one at 10 p.m., not 9 p.m. I know we've been used to those earlier hours, but this is the semi-finals, right? And your thoughts in terms of who's going to emerge, the two teams that will emerge from two blockbuster semi-finals. But let me pause. Zai's back.
Thank you so much, Ashraf. Yes, indeed. We are building up to the Senegal-Egypt encounter. First up, where the margins and the nerves are being tested ahead of the semi-final in Tangier. Lions of Teranga captain Kalidou Koulibaly says heavyweight clashes are never decided on reputation alone.
Indeed, over the last 4 Africa Cups, we've seen that Senegal has reached 3 semi-finals. That proves we have experience. Experienced players in this national team, like Edouard, myself, and some others as well. We have experience, but as I've said from the beginning, it's about the mix. We can't say that we know everything. The veterans don't know it all. That's why we let the young players speak a lot, because we want to know what they think. We want to know what they feel is good in the group and what's not so good. And that's how it is. It's by sharing that we manage to get these results. So we share with the young players. We know that we need them to win. They need our experience, but we need their talent, their passion, their youth, their carefreeness. And today we see that with Senegal, it's working well. People can talk about the quality of our play, but we are aware that we have an objective, which is to go as far as possible in this Africa Cup and to play 7 matches. 7 matches means a grand final, and that starts with tomorrow's game. But I think the coach has done everything possible to make sure everyone is in a good place. And today, well, he's bringing his, let's say, his personal touch. And we follow him and we're behind him. He has instilled this confidence in this group, and today we see the results. So we're very proud to have this consistency.
There we go. That's the Senegal captain Kalidou Koulibaly here on the National Pulse. Let's go to some cricket action. This time, the Durban Super Giants, their SA20 campaign hanging by the thinnest of threads after another costly defeat going down to the Paarl Royals at Boland Park. Head coach Lance Kloosner says it wasn't about tactics or conditions, but mistakes across all departments.
It's just small mistakes here and there that kind of plagued us a little bit this season with the bat as well. You know, as I said, we've been searching for those partnerships, which in T20 cricket is big. So, yeah, we didn't get that this evening. I thought we finished pretty well with the bat, and still thought it was a pretty competitive score. But as you mentioned earlier, the surface played beautifully tonight.
And finally, rugby with their Investec Champions Cup campaign on the line. The Sharks know this weekend is about more than just selection or tactics. It's about mindset. Springbok prop Oxen Chair says the influence of interim head coach JP Peterson has brought renewed clarity.
Guys have ability in a team. Like, we have guys that have amazing ability. It's just the change in mindset that he's mainly working on, where guys have to start believing in themselves, in their abilities, doing the extras that they need to put in, and just changing the mindset about how they see their game. Whether you think, oh, you didn't have a good start, and how you actually get back to performing and just working hard for your teammates.
More on the National Pulse, top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Perfect. So, all very exciting as we count down to those two blockbuster semi-finals. How many times did I say that? More than once, because it's pretty obvious.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
A home is more than bricks and mortar. It's dignity. It's legacy. It's the heart of every community. From informal settlement upgrades and title deeds to housing subsidies, roads, lights and water, Human Settlements is delivering more than homes. We're building safer, serviced, stronger communities. Want to know more about how you can benefit? Visit www.dhs.gov.za or follow DHS on social media platforms. Together, we're building a South Africa where everyone belongs. The Department of Human Settlements, shaping the future.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And let's get all those numbers with Makwe Masilela for the first time in 2026. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Predictably, Makwe, you've got news locally and globally. Where do you start?
Compliment to you, Ashraf, and to your listeners. Yes, and we've seen that there is this heightened geopolitical tension, and that is across, which is weighing on sentiment, and especially as Trump expressed support for nationwide anti-government protest in Iran, and also a brewing feud between the Fed and Trump also remained in focus. The rand is flat as the dollar recovered some ground, and that's after the U.S. inflation was broadly in line with estimates, firming up expectations that the U.S. Fed will leave interest rates unchanged later this month, despite pressure from the Fed, from the White House to lower them. And locally, apparently, as a country, we have nearly 2 million informal businesses, and 75% thereof remain unbanked and rely heavily on cash, noting that this segment generates, Ashraf, an annual profit pool of roughly 65 billion rands, and metals are building on their blistering start of the year as investors bet that prices could be boosted by more U.S. interest rate cuts and an economic revival in China. Silver topped $90 an ounce for the first time. Tin boosted by its use when it comes to electronics and packaging, and that was a standout among base metals. Oil prices rising for a fifth straight session on fears that there will be some disruption when it comes to Iran, and that is that due to that potential conflict between them and the US. And we see Brent crude is up almost 1% at $66 a barrel, and the yellow metal hitting record highs as safe haven demand was boosted by escalating geopolitical tensions. Gold is up 1% at 4,633, platinum up 2.6% at 2,400. Global markets are flat, looking for direction as the JSE trying to trade in the green, helped by our resources, which are up almost 1.8%. Noting that so far this year we are up 4%, and the rand is flat, 16.38 to the dollar, 22.05 to the pound, and 19.10 to the euro.
Well, there we are. Thanks for that, Mark. And of course, we have another hour of the markets deep dive, 6 to 7 with Jimmy Moyaha from 6 to 7. So set your reminder now.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
All right, we'll get back to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee shortly, but here's another very, very interesting story. The civic or civil organization Forum for South Africa, FOSA, FOSA, right? They've appointed the disbarred, and in this case words matter, the disbarred advocate Malesela Tefo as the organization's head of intelligence. What's the end goal of this? Why this person? And what would be the strategy around it? Let's find out from the Forum for South Africa's national leader, Tebogo Mashilompane. I appreciate your time and thanks for joining us here on the National Pulse.
General Pashlani on the 9th.
To the listeners too.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, we just lost you for a moment, but I got the thank you from you. Thank you for that. Right.
Okay.
Let's tell me about the appointment. Why Advocate Malesela Tefo?
Because of his experience, because of the truth that he has, because of the knowledge, because of the information that he has. Because prior to this, we had a couple of engagements with him last year, and then in December it intensified, and then we looked into various issues of the country, the corruption and all those things, and then some of the information that we took from him was tested, and then it was valid. And then he's sitting with the information, and then actually he's a victim of a corrupt system. That is why today he's been called the ex-advocate. But that's a story for another day. But the bottom line is that here we are talking about a man who is willing to fight for this country, a man who's an activist, a man who doesn't like corruption. And then obviously things happened that he found himself where he was because he was pushed out. He did not take himself out, but he was pushed, very harshly so. And then we know that we focused on that, and we followed up, and then we realized. But what is important for us to have him is the experience, the knowledge, both in the police and also in when coming to the issue of law.
Okay, fair enough. Your point, he's a victim of a corrupt system. Best you tell us more.
Advocate Tefo knows a lot of things that are there, that are not in the public domain, but evidence is there because, as I'm telling you, we've had couple engagements. We had meetings with our NGL, which is called the National Governance Leadership. We sat around with him. We've got an investigating team that we've been working with. We sat around, and then they sat down. We tested everything that you are telling us, and then we found to be true. So that is why we are saying he's a victim of corrupt system, because they know the information he has about many people in government, many people, many politicians, many business people, corrupt individuals who are corrupting our government and everything. So he knows those things. And then also our investigators corroborate what he's been saying. So now we brought him to lead a team of investigators that we've been working with since last year.
And therefore, I mean, that role that you said, I mean, he's brought in to lead a team of investigators. Tell me more about his actual role then within your organization.
His role is more of collecting of the intelligent information, receiving of it, analyzing it, and then making it available to us. and then we make decisions based on the verified information that we have. For an example, the detectives, those are the retired people who have been working for the police. Those serious police people who were willing to fight for this country, they came in there with us. So they'll get the information, bring it to him, and then he'll analyze that information, verify it, and make sure that that is concrete information, and then there's no question about it. Then after that, the information comes to us, and then we deal with the matter.
Okay, and the fact that, I mean, you made the point he's a victim of a corrupt system. We speak at a time, I mean, as I talk to you right now, the ad hoc committee is on the go. The Madlanda Commission gets underway soon, and I mean, all of that speaks about shady deals at the highest level that we don't even understand properly. Yeah. But you do know, as I mean, you alluded to as well, that Advocate Tefu himself has been accused of many different things, and and therefore that key part that he's been disbarred, right? I mean, how much of your appreciation, because clearly as you support him, there are many others who are like, why him? Keeping in mind, the allegations against him in the past.
Yeah, him simply because he's an activist, simply because he fights corruption. Even being a victim of the rotten system, it is because he was fighting. He was exposing the corruption. And I'm telling you now, as we're speaking, he's going back to the issue of Senzo Mewa, because we also understand why the case is not being completed. We've got information why the case is not completed. We've got information that is not spoken about there at the court. And then we sit in with that information. We know about it, and then it's just a matter of time that information should come. But Advocate Tefu is going back as I'm speaking to you. There are many things that he's currently doing now, not many, but things that he has to finalize. And then he's going back to that particular case. He's been speaking to the family also. We'll be going also to Durban to see the family, because the family has been in constant communication with him, and the family knows exactly what happened in that night when Senzo Mewa was killed. They are aware of what happened, and then we'll be meeting the family also, so that they can give Forum for South Africa that go ahead to come up with this information. Okay. Because
But if the family knew that already, and I hear you, and I mean, he of course stood on the side of those who were accused. Why? I mean, I understand you'll talk about it in court, but why not already have discussed it or mentioned it already?
Why don't we mention it already?
The family, you're saying the family knows what happened regarding that murder, that incident. Yes. Why not then already testify? What's the delay?
No, the problem is this I say the corrupt system, because the people that are supposed to be there and being interviewed or interrogated or cross-examined, they are not there. And those are the right people who are supposed to be questioned. But they are not questioned, and deliberately so. Not because they don't know who are those people. They know them very well. But they cannot contact such particular people. But what the space, a lot of things are happening now in the next 3 months. Just watch between the next 3 months. There's a lot that is coming out. And then obviously people must go to prison.
Okay, and just to be clear, the role and the aims of Forum for South Africa is what?
Forum for South Africa, we're focusing on holding the government accountable. And then our two measures is human rights and then also social justice. So those are the things that we're focusing on. So we also on supporting Advocate Tefu in terms of his rights being violated, being a victim also of corruption, and at the same time also looking at his abilities and looking at the people that are trying to silence him from not giving the country what is actually happening.
Okay. 3 months is what you say. We clearly have eyes and ears on the Forum for South Africa and what comes out next over the next 3 months. Appreciate your time. Tebogo Mashilampane, the national leader of Forum for South Africa. Right, what we'll do next is cross once again to Parliament's ad hoc committee.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Three-time champions, the Super Eagles, mean business while searching for their fourth title. But the Atlas Lions are confident red and green will dominate green and white. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Witness the semi-final meeting between Nigeria and Morocco this Wednesday, 14 January at 9:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 10 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, certainly I have the view of Advocate Norman Arns, as well as the person is very much central to all the conversations today, Khomotso Patlani. So let's get right back to the Parliament Ad Hoc Committee.
My response, if I'm allowed to, is well captured in the documents, in the minutes of Parliament, JKP 23, dated 16 May 2017. Because that is the day that we were in Parliament and that presentation was made. And that response is well traversed here. But I will go and politely read some of the issues that I'm referring to in respect of JKP 23. And I'm going back, paragraph, page 58, paragraph 129. I'm trying to make it easy so that I just capture the facts. 129, the following day, 11 May 2017, Mr. Francois Biekman, chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, addressed a response to my letter of apology to attend a meeting of 16 May 2017. The letter is annexed here to SJKP 21. Upon receipt of the said letter, I rearranged my trip and duly attended. On 16 May 2017, I went to the meeting with a comprehensive presentation that will give a detailed account of the very same allegations presented by McBride. I annexed here to marked JKP 22, a copy of the presentation that was made to the Portfolio Committee in the presence of McBride. My appearance before the Committee on Police was to respond to the same allegations made by Robert McBride during his previous appearance on 4 May 2017, where I was not present. Robert McBride alleged that it was unprecedented for him to have been called to the committee to account on investigations against me in my presence while he was the initiator, the author, and the narrator of the script. I say so in my affidavit. It was during the said meeting that I characterized IPID as a captured state institution by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. I opined that it was O'Sullivan Police Investigative Directorate, OPID. I annexed here to marked JKP 23 a copy of the transcribed deliberations recorded by PMG, a service provider rendering recording services in Parliament. I annexed here to mark JKP 24 a copy of the minutes taken by a committee officer of the Portfolio Committee. It is here where I pause and take the nation into confidence on Robert McBride's war waged against me, his well-orchestrated campaign through the media, with Paul O'Sullivan on various platforms under the pretext of fighting corruption, systematic corruption, and maladministration. It is apt that I deal with the overview of the allegations made against me, and when necessary, I will annex relevant document to substantiate my submissions. 134. Robert McBride must indeed be credited with having learned exceptionally well from his masters and handlers in unleashing a propaganda machinery on a target and in being relentless in his efforts to cause harm and reputational damage to those in his sights. The stratcom that was waged against the struggle seems to be what he admired, and he did not let an opportunity to pass without him applying such to his benefit. I salute Robert McBride in this regard, this despite the pain and hate directed at my person and the character assassination I endured. I had never met Mr. McBride in person until Saturday around midday during April-May 2016. Like you said, SC, April-May 2016, when you say he was on suspension, it is true, but he was under suspension from his post as executive director of IPID. When I was surprised by his presence outside my house in Sable Hills, the very famous McBride O'Sullivan playing field, I was with a fellow resident, Mr. Johan Smith, may his soul rest in peace, who visited me to discuss matters related to the Homeowners Association. When I walked him out, he mentioned a person he was expecting who happened to be Robert McBride. It was here where Robert McBride came out of the driving seat of a white E200 Mercedes-Benz vehicle in which he was driving with a female passenger. We exchanged greetings. Mr. Smith allowed us space to briefly engage without any interference. At the time of this unexpected meeting, the media was running articles and stories by Pop Crew and O'Sullivan's allegations of corruption leveled against me. You will have noted as part of the records that twice on the 30th of June 2017, the late Judge Monama ruled in my favor on a civil litigation against the very same Pop Crew members. Recently, on the 5th of November 2025, the full bench ruled in my favor on that particular litigation. And it was found that the allegations made against me were baseless, and thus they are to pay me costs, and they are to retract the allegations that were being made and tender an apology. So these are the same people that I'm being told they are witnesses in McBride's pursuit against me. O'Sullivan, for that matter.
All right, we're just going to pause on the O'Sullivan because we will get back there later on at Parliament's ad hoc committee. Of course, the voice you're hearing, that of Khomotso Patlani, who obviously is centre stage today. But in the hot seat on the other side, with regard to the news, here's Greg Hose.
Thank you, Ashraf. Minister backs school nutrition programs and Trump doubles down on Greenland demands. Good day to you. The Basic Education Minister, Sefio Gachube, says school nutrition programs are essential for learning as hungry children struggle to concentrate and stay in school. She was speaking in the Northwest on the first day of the new academic year.
You can never ever teach a hungry child. Then that's why this investment of 10 billion rand is one that we will protect, and we really want to make sure that hopefully we will get to a place where we can serve 2 meals a day to children, because ultimately that's how these small ones are going to be able to learn. And so this investment is incredibly important, and I'm really pleased with the Northwest.
The Public Service Commission in Mpumalanga is conducting inspections of schools damaged by storms. 28 schools have been damaged and 134 mobile classrooms have been procured. In Mpumalanga, Public Service Commissioner Bheki Zulu.
We want to do an intervention
if there are those challenges, we know this is an emergency situation. No one knew that this will happen. The department may not have budget, but speaking to the department and also speaking to the Premier, something should be done because there are a number of classes affected, there are a number of kids that are affected, and the routine, the scheduling of learning may cause a problem. We want to ensure that we engage all parties that are involved.
Motorists in southern Johannesburg are urged to avoid the N12 westbound before the Diepkloof interchange following a shooting involving police and suspected criminals. All lanes have been closed. Metro Police spokesperson Kolani Fihl.
There's a shooting incident on the N12 West. This before the Diepkloof interchange involving police and criminals. All lanes on the N12 West are currently blocked off to traffic due to the crime scene. Law enforcement and emergency services are on scene, and the closure is causing heavy delays in the area as motorists avoid that scene. Motorists are advised to exercise caution and to avoid the N12 West travelling towards Uncle Charlie's and Diepkloof interchange and rather use alternative routes such as Xavier Street off the N12.
Khayelitsha Magistrates Court in Cape Town has sentenced two accused to long jail terms in connection with a mass shooting at an informal settlement in 2022 in which 5 people were killed. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg.
All evidence were collected on the crime scene and a strong case was built which led to the arrest of 3 suspects on charges of murder. One accused was found not guilty on murder charges while the trial continued against the 2 co-accused. The Western Cape Police Management welcomes the sentence bestowed upon the accused and expresses gratitude to the investigating officer and the prosecution team for ensuring that justice has been served on those who is a threat to society.
US President Donald Trump says NATO will become more effective if Greenland belongs to the US. He was posting on his social media platform Truth Social. He says the US needs the Danish territory for the purpose of national security. Trump says anything less than US control of Greenland is, as he puts it, unacceptable. The head of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has responded.
Greenland belongs to its people, so it's up to Denmark and Greenland, and only to them, to decide on matters that are concerning Denmark and Greenland. We are in constant contact with the Danish government, also to listen to what the needs are, what the needs of the Greenlanders are. Second, Greenland is part of NATO. And when we are speaking about Arctic security, this is one of the core topics of NATO. And we know that the glue between the allies is the fact that there's always the clear motto, one for all for one.
The top story, the Basic Education Minister says school nutrition programs are essential for learning as hungry children struggle to concentrate and stay in school. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Hoos.
And it's a very good afternoon to you. The morning, well, we bring you the sport, and there's all excitement as the AFCON semi-finals are set. Africa's heavyweight collides tonight. Senegal face Egypt. Nigeria meet the host Morocco. We'll bring you all the details at around 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R82 Vereniging Road southbound in Eikenhof, queuing towards the R554 Lenasia exit, and Transorani Road northbound in Pretoria is where a crash is reported at Vermhagen Street. In KZN, the M4 northbound has a crash before Riverside Road, and the N2 northbound a crash on the link to the M4 north. In Cape Town, the R324 in Barrydale is where fire is reported at Trudeau Pass. Traffic restrictions are in place, including full road closure as required. And Mike Pina Boulevard northbound in Bellville, queuing at Frans Conradie Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
during this festive season through Cross Alive campaign of the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency. Cross-border road transport operators are advised to have a valid cross-border permit at all times. Compile a passenger list. Avoid overloading of goods and passengers. Take a break every 200 kilometers or every 2 hours. Check if the tires and brakes are in good condition. Check if all lights are working and service your car regularly. Stop and checks will be conducted for goods and passenger transport operators.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.2 FM in East London. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So there's been news that the U.S. House of Representatives have voted to extend the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, right, throughout the continent. And there's been expectations South Africa may benefit. Now, there's been an ongoing conversation. We'll get to that in just a moment. But lots of you have commented. I've asked you to do so. So let me hear you out in terms of the big issues that has moved the pulse of the nation today.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I just want to share my thoughts with regards to Advocate, therefore. No, I must say, Shem, we must congratulate him, and we as South Africans must, for those who have been following the story and who are not too negative on conspiracies, they must understand that the man struggled a lot, Shem. He went through a lot, being wrongfully arrested and all of those things. And yeah, no, I must say, maybe somewhere, somehow, his ancestors are looking out for him. Daniel here in Bryanston.
Hi, Ashraf, and your team and lovely South Africans. It's Eddie from Onderstres. Ashraf, I know you're very passionate about creation of champions, and I want to challenge you that let's discuss the matter, because I also have passion on youth development. We want to create leaders within communities, especially of young people, will be a beacon of hope in their respective areas where they come from. Yeah, let's engage and let's talk about it for the interest of these young people. We need to empower them before it's too late. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I think you're spot on. And listen, you and I have engaged on air lots of times, not just now, and even in my previous iteration at SAFM. Maybe just leave your details with Keys or Temba. Let's see if we can connect. You are right, picking up from the conversation we've had earlier on the other day with John Foster Padley about how do you move from success to significance. We have to do something significant for other people, for us to be significant ourselves, and for our country to be significant. So point well made. The other one, Tafu's the ancestors looking out for him. Okay, got that. Let's, however, talk about what's happening regarding AGOA. There's a sense of celebration or not. Depends who you're really talking to. The story coming through is the United States House of Representatives have voted to extend the African Growth and Opportunity Act. That's, as we know it, as AGOA. But there's also warnings that as they do so, there's a bit of a haze when it comes to where does South Africa fit into all of this, right? Now, James Booth is with me. James Booth is the head of revenue at Verto. James, appreciate you joining us here on the National Pulse here in South Africa.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, firstly, let's just say from a South African perspective, because there's a sense from some people here who are celebrating. Ought we be celebrating, or is it a case of put the brakes on, not the accelerator here?
Yeah, I think there's an element of cautious optimism, because obviously AGOA has been extended. It's been extended for 3 years, which is good news. Arguably it's not enough. However, it's not guaranteed right now that South Africa will be included in the final AGOA, because ultimately that's down to the White House.
So when we say, just so that we all understand it, when we say AGOA has been extended, what has been the status quo of AGOA right now? And when we say extended, what would that mean? Now we're talking for the entire continent. What would that mean?
Correct. Yeah. Well, I mean, so AGOA expired late last year, and that's where I think there's been a lot of uncertainty because we've been in a state of limbo to a degree. Whereas a lot of the African countries that were previously part of AGOA, obviously they were planning on importing goods into the United States duty free. With AGOA lapsing, it was difficult for them to plan. It's great now that it's been extended for 3 years. But in saying that, there's still an element of uncertainty because for businesses to really plan and invest in exports, it requires a lot of capital requirements. And a 3-year period is actually fairly short for a lot of these businesses to invest long term.
Okay. So what happens next? I mean, so the broad base of AGOA being extended we get, but I understand, I mean, it's not a cut and paste deal across the board. I mean, something else has to happen. There's going to be approval, I believe, with regard to the Senate, and then the all important presidential signature.
Correct. Yeah. So there has to be approval for the Senate. Once it's approved in the Senate, then it gets passed on to the White House. The White House, ultimately, it's their job to then decide who's included in AGOA and also the finer details, because ultimately, at the end of the day, AGOA is not AGOA to a degree is a trade agreement. So the White House can actually decide specific rules and regulations for different countries that want to be included in AGOA. And that's what we're still waiting for. And I think that's where there's a lot of tension when it comes to South Africa.
So they could in general agree for the entire continent, but there could be specific tailor-made conditions for each country. And I mean, it's well documented, the relationship between the USA and South Africa at this point in time. Now, if we say that, what's puzzling me is the tweet, if you want to call it X-posted tweet from the ANC's Secretary General. So very much someone in the engine room of the African National Congress, the party that is the dominant votes in our country, right? Fikile Mbalula, he's saying, and I quote, "We welcome the news from the U.S. House of Representatives that it has voted in favor of extending South Africa's participation in AGOA. This is a step in the right direction and protects our agricultural sector, but also benefits the U.S. The ANC and its government has fought relentlessly through diplomatic efforts to ensure that South African food producers are protected, despite the unpatriotic efforts of some small right-wing groups. All of this has been achieved without tampering with our transformation policies, and this alone can be viewed as victory for our country against these right-wing groupings." Now, end quote. They're accepting that, if it was done by a South African supporter or a call-in on this show, that's one thing. We're talking about the Secretary General of the African National Congress, who's suggesting it's a done deal and actually praising his party for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the right thing to maybe tweet and say, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it isn't a done deal unless he does something we don't. I think it would be remiss for the US to not include South Africa. Obviously, South Africa being the largest economy in Africa. I don't think it would be in their best interest to exclude us. However, we know with Donald Trump, it's very difficult to gauge which way he will go and where those final decisions will actually land. But being cautiously optimistic, I think it is trending in the right direction for us. I think it's good. I would be very, very disappointed if we're not included.
Mm-hmm. What about, often we talk about government-to-government conditions, but the reality is ultimately it gets down to SMEs, small, medium enterprises. So, someone in that space right now, how should they interpret this? How are they likely to benefit, if at all, or not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, the benefit is more trade and tax-free trade and access to the U.S. market. So, I mean, the benefits are hopefully quite clear for SMEs. I think what's difficult for SMEs is the planning part. Obviously, when these treaties do not occur, the rand weakens. Obviously, all of their margins can be eroded very quickly. So right now, SMEs should be hopefully planning to ramp up production, ramp up exports into the US, and in my opinion, I would hope that they're planning for positive growth.
Mm-hmm. But do I take it that, and this is again South Africa and other African countries, they can't do much until they actually get the sign off, right?
No. They can't do much until they get the actual sign off. But in saying that, we have been in this limbo state for a while. So it's not like we've been completely cut off and trade is still occurring. So you can start planning towards it. And also, let's be honest, if you talk about a lot of the industries that AGOA enhances and participates in, a lot of these things don't happen overnight. It takes months, quarters, etc., to plan in additional infrastructure and plan some of these ramp ups. So I would start thinking about it, start planning towards it, and obviously if it doesn't happen, then obviously a quick pivot would happen, and I don't think that would be good news for anybody, but you can always change and pivot.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, talking about change and pivot, I think it's so appropriate you bring that up, because one of the things that may happen, well, it's happening already, clearly this sense of attrition between South Africa and the USA, and that's what's come through out of that, is South Africa must or should reduce its dependence not just on the USA, but some strategic countries that they do business with, but still not be completely dependent on them. Am I reading it correctly? Is that the type of advice you'd give these countries?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good of any African country, especially South Africa, to diversify its trade, and I think we're in a very strong position right now to do so. Obviously, there's the AGOA discussion, which is what we're discussing today. There's also the African Free Continental Trade, where I think we can do a lot more, and that's a lot of intra-Africa trade. There's also, from a financial standpoint, late last year we were removed from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. This week we were removed from the EU's grey list as well. So I think our standing on the international stage is improving considerably over the last few months and years, which I think is giving us a lot of power to increase our trading power intra-Africa, as well as UK, Europe, China, Asia as well.
Let's just talk about timelines. I mean, do you have any idea what timelines are we talking about?
From
AGOA, where we are now to potential sign up, like how long would that take?
To be honest, I'm not too sure of the potential timelines. I mean, the one thing I would say with this extension is it's good, but in my opinion, it's not good enough, because, and I mentioned it earlier, and 3 years is not a long time. What I think we do need to be doing is we need to obviously keep improving, keep up our diplomatic ties, ensure that we're included in AGOA, and then the actual end game is working towards a long-term, robust trade deal with the US and other countries, because that's actually where we're going to see considerable growth and income for the country.
And need I say, 10 years minimum? I would think that's what you're going to say.
No, I mean, I'm more optimistic. Hopefully 5.
Okay, all right. Any other point that you think is important that we should interpret regarding the what's next for South Africa and AGOA?
Well, I mean, I think I kind of mentioned it there. I think there's a lot going for us right now. I think there's a lot more we can do within AGOA, within the African Free Trade Agreement. I certainly think from a financial standpoint, we're very strong at the moment. So I think there's a lot more we can do as a country, and I see a bright future in the near term, getting stronger and stronger.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. James Booth, head of revenue at Verto, in relation to the confirmation now there's been an extension of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which, as you know, expired sometime last year. It's extended through the continent. Now the next question is, how does it impact South Africa? We'll find out soon, I gather. This is the National Pulse.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
How's it, Mzansi? I'm Clementine Musimani. Step into the all-new era of telenovelas, comedy, and more on SABC2. Arey!
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
Right, Parliament's ad hoc committee having a short break, which means that we put you at center stage. We need to hear your voice. Now, you can call in live. I'll take your calls right away, so don't hesitate, because time is of the essence. 086 000 2032. Come on, what do you want to get? What do you want to get off your chest?
Mr. Ashraf Mbongo Sundisa Mboyisa. Hey, Mr. Ashraf, I'm so sick and tired of the evidence that is being given by this General Paslan. He's acting like dumb, man. This gentleman, he's arrogant and he's seeking sympathy like from the citizens. Can he just answer the questions and move on? He's wasting time going nowhere. Hi, man, this Paslan guy. This is...
Okay, you're clearly frustrated. I hear you.
Ashraf, I'm unable to understand in reality why this parliament is wasting time and wasting everybody's day on detecting that most of the questions that they have are circulating or are around an issue that is before the court or a sub judice. So why should they continue with this witness? Why don't they call other witnesses then in the meantime, rather than wasting time? The whole day we heard nothing, just running around the circles. Modus vivendi, Emalahleni local municipality in the Eastern Cape.
Okay, you put your Emalahleni on the map. But listen, I mean, it's not that simple. Like, you just show someone a door that can make a substitution in a football or rugby game. It doesn't work like that. There's a commitment for the day. Whether they're running around in circles, as you say, they're going to have to see it through, I think. So the others will come up, right? Listen, this one's such an important... this is a comment that I think is worth debating.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I am Tagatayo in Mangwevini location, Kofimva. Ashraf, Western Cape had achieved 88%, and the Eastern Cape far less than that, 88%. And there was a proposal from Helen Zille that Western Cape and Eastern Cape should be one province, because us from this province of Eastern Cape, we are working in the Western Cape, and our children also studying there. I also supporting that. Can't we be one province, Western Cape and Eastern Cape, to avoid this lot of provinces? Thanks.
Okay, but why that province? I mean, that will be one pretty large province. So do you think, how would that solve the problems, let's say, specifically of the Eastern Cape? Because there's a sense that the Eastern Cape, comparatively speaking to the Western Cape and to other provinces, is lagging behind in terms of infrastructure and so many other things too.
Good day, Kefi and your panelists. When coming to security companies, things don't go well at all. And my suspicion is that Mafoko security is highly connected politically. And I suspect their head office should be somewhere in Mafike. If you go to Mafike, you'll see the Mafoko security, you'll see Mafoko water tanker trucks, you'll see Mafoko trucks. It seems it's a big organization, but they should be politically connected. I suspect they are. That is why they do as they please, because they've got a backing of somebody powerful, anonymous.
Okay, that was for Kathy. So that was clearly from this morning, and somehow it managed to jump into our space. It's all fine.
Mr. Ashraf, good afternoon. It's Ndomiso from Waterfall in KZN. Maybe by the time you play this voice note, you would have already done the interview with Mr. Booth. But nonetheless, I just want to understand then, if this AGOA is extended for 3 years, what does it mean for those tariffs on us that Trump had placed? That's number one. And number two, I have been hearing the likes of Julius Malema saying, no, we should just abandon this AGOA thing. And I was saying, no, we should just take it and keep quiet and keep enforcing, or rather pushing, our own policies as a country. And then just let the USA decide on when to take it away. We shouldn't reject it. We just continue as we have been continuing, strategically, because we are not a global power. Let's just play this deftly.
Okay.
Thank you.
You sound like a cabinet minister, and I'll give you a job if that's the case. I think you're right. Look, we have policies that are at variance with the USA. We know that, right? We can't change our policies just to suit them, because that would mean changing for every other country that you do business with. Having said that, tactically, you have to stay in the game as long as you can, because you can't dismiss the benefits, and we do need those benefits.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ashraf. Dr. Ashraf, it is mind-boggling. The Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, this man was the first to run around and, complain against the ANC and say this government does not care about our farmers. Now he's the Minister of Agriculture. He is still going to consult with the government. He's the minister. He must do something. Foot and mouth is affecting the farmers. Where is he? He's still consulting. Yeah.
Okay. I think, in fact, he's put out a call for that issue. So let's see where that goes. Okay. Let's get to Cape Town, talking about Cape Town. Shata in Cape Town. You want to talk about Cape Town? Hello. Shata, hi.
Ashraf, afternoon.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good indeed. What's your point?
Ashraf, I've seen very shocking things around Cape Town in December. Just before the Christmas, the festive season, there's been a whole lot of murderers and killings, the gang wars, and, killings of all sorts in Cape Town. Mm-hmm. Ashraf, I stay in the Blouberg vicinity. The amount of policing that you would see around Blouberg, Sea Point, Moyle Point, Camps Bay. I'm thinking about the SAPS, I'm referring to the Metro Police, I'm referring to the law enforcement. All these resources were in the elite, so to call the elite, predominantly based people. Mm-hmm. I visited a friend about 3 times in the southern suburbs. I drove around the colored areas. I didn't see single visibility of police or the Metro Police or law enforcement. In the black dominated industry, I did not see a single law enforcement officer around there. What does that say about Cape Town?
What do you think? What does it say?
What
does it say?
We're talking about where crime is high in the Cape Flats. There's no police visibility. There's no municipal police. There's no law enforcement. There's no Metro Police. All these people are in a peaceful spaces to protect somebody's interest or certain people's interest.
All right, Shata,
tourists are coming here.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thought. Yeah. Shata, okay, go ahead, Shata.
Tourists are coming here. Tourists have to be protected, but our people should not be protected. We should not be fighting crime in certain areas, but we should make sure that all the resources that we have should be channeled into certain spaces.
Okay.
And that's where rich people are.
All right. Point taken. Listen, I've been to all those places, including Blouberg, with the beautiful view of the Table Mountain from the other side. I get your point. But here's an interesting thought, okay? And, there's been this big issue about, the Cape Flats and the rampant crime and the gang warfare that runs those places, right? But one of the things that's come through, and I stand to be corrected, is that when it comes to policing, it's a national government problem. So one of the arguments that has come through from the Western Cape government to say, yes, we need more policing, yes, we need this. And in fact, that's what we are asking national government or the SAPS national to do, because it's they who deploy, not us. So just think about that. It may not be 100% correct, but it's certainly a point worth looking into. Right now, let's get the news headlines. It's 5:30.
In the headlines, 3 suspected robbers have been killed and 1 wounded in a shootout with police on the N12 in Johannesburg. The bail application of the man accused of murdering DJ Warris has been rolled over to tomorrow. And the Basic Education Minister says school nutrition programs are essential for learning. There's a full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N17 westbound in Nasrec, queuing towards the N1 highway. Main Reef Road westbound in Amalgam has a crash near Nasrec Road, and Delmas Road southbound in Pretoria, a crash before Nossop Street. In KZN, the N2 northbound, queuing towards Umgeni Road and Umgeni Road westbound, slow moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, Strandfontein Road southbound, queuing towards Spine Road. The N1 Service Road outbound is slow moving, that's towards the N7 highway exit, and the N2 slow moving at Victoria Street. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Right, Zai, of course, it's AFCON semi-final night, right? So go for it.
It's not just a build-up, Ashraf. It's a continental countdown. We've got AFCON mode activated, and the channel that you can find it on is SABC2 as well as SABC radio platforms. Now, we're also celebrating a little bit early, for the first time in more than 6 decades. The Africa Cup of Nations semi-finals will be contested by 4 of the continent's heavyweights, all led by African coaches. Egypt boss Hossam Hassan believes that the milestone sends a clear message to football federations across the continent. With Egypt set to face Senegal and the host Morocco up against Nigeria, Hassan says African coaches have shown they deserve full belief.
Fiercely, because football in Africa is developing again, and thankfully we are represented in Europe by African players from all the present African national teams. They perform at a very high level in Europe, sending a message to the world that we in Africa have great talents and many skills. Yes, they are on par with the European players. If they are given the opportunities, they perform, as you have seen. I mean, for example, we have Mohamed Salah. Of course, there are many examples in all the national teams that are here. Hakimi in Morocco, everyone. I don't want to. And in Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal, Mané, and all of them have represented Africa in the best way. So the tournament, and of course the rising group of players, the African professionals who are playing in Europe, they have increased the value of the tournament. They made the whole world follow the Cup of Nations, and they know that Africa is full of talent, so the tournament has become more difficult and fierce as a result of the players' technical development and also the development of the mentality and thinking, the experience of the coaches, whether they are local or foreign.
That's the Egypt boss, Hossam Hassan. That's on the National Pulse. Let's stay on the continent. Gabon have lifted government-imposed sanctions on the national team and star striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The Panthers exited AFCON without a point, prompting suspension by the former sports minister, including bans on Aubameyang and Bruno Manga. But the Gabon Football Association has confirmed all measures have now been withdrawn, with the new sports minister, Paul Ulrich Kesani, acting swiftly to avoid FIFA sanctions for government interference. Let's go to golf, where Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm and Cameron Smith have all committed to LIV Golf for 2026, rejecting the chance to return to the PGA Tour. The trio were eligible under the PGA's new returning member program, but say they're happy where they are. DeChambeau says he's excited about the season ahead, while Rahm and Smith wish Brooks Koepka well after his decision to rejoin the PGA. Now, Koepka's return comes with strict conditions, including a 5-year forfeiture of equity rights and a $5 million charitable contribution. And finally, we bring you cricket, with South Africa's under-19 men head into the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup with belief running high. Coach Malibongwe Maketa says age won't define the squad, insisting the junior Proteas have been carefully preparing through Cricket South Africa's pathway system over the past 2 years. Now, based in Windhoek, the South African team opened their campaign against Afghanistan, and that's on Friday. That's your sport. Swing back. We'll have more. That's with Michael Abramson, Top Sport from 7 p.m. For the National Pulse, I'm Zai Khan.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Zai, and looking forward to those 2 blockbuster games that comes up. That starts shortly. 7 o'clock, in fact, is that first semi-final. More sport with us tomorrow.
Wondering why 45-year-old Nivan has such a big smile lately?
Outsurance. Saved me so much money. 461 rand.
That's right. With Outsurance, Nivan saves an amazing 461 Rand a month on his 2025 VWT Cross. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus.
So much money.
How much money could Outsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
3-time champions, the Super Eagles, mean business while searching for their 4th title. But the Atlas Lions are confident red and green will dominate green and white. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Witness the semi-final meeting between Nigeria and Morocco this Wednesday, 14 January at 9:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 10 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
It's that time of the year again. Back to school. New uniforms, fresh books, and new beginnings. As learners return to the classroom, let's encourage them to dream big, work hard, and stay focused. Parents, teachers, and communities, this is where the journey continues. SAFM wishes all learners a safe, successful, and inspiring school year. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Thanks for that. Right, Jimmy comes up, of course, from 6 to 7. And to set the scene, Jimmy, you want to pick up a story about the SARB, South African Reserve Bank?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. Yes, this is something that we covered many months ago when you and I did our master classes on the show. We looked at what was the South African prime lending rate and the repo rate and the difference between the two. And it seems as though the South African Reserve Bank, after many years, for the first time in South Africa's democratic history and even longer than that, is potentially reviewing having this in place. There is a 350 basis point difference, so the 3.5% difference right now between the rate at which the South African Reserve Bank loans money to the commercial banks and the rate at which the commercial banks then loan money on to us, depending on what you get financed at. But that premium in the middle is something we've spoken about in our masterclasses before on the show, and the South African Reserve Bank put out a comment yesterday to say they would be rethinking this and potentially looking to see whether or not this current model and structure still works. We know, of course, this change might not happen overnight. It might take a while, but we're going to look into that. We're going to look at what this could mean for South Africa, what it could mean for how banks loan money to South Africans and how they finance South Africans going forward. So quite an important move by the South African Reserve Bank. And we're going to see what some of the permutations could look like, whether we go one direction on this or whether we change the policy. We're going to try and make sense of that as much as we can at this stage. We're also going to take a look at the vehicle sales numbers put out by the Automobile Association in South Africa, NAMSA. We're going to take a look at that and try and get a sense of the car sales numbers of 2025 and what they could potentially tell us about the car market in South Africa. Then we have a condition taking a look at the calls for international providers, particularly streaming providers like Netflix, to potentially pay part of the infrastructure costs that are incurred in local markets by telecoms providers like Vodacom and MTN for making use of their services. We're going to take a look at this and we're going to try and make sense of why this has come about now and what this would potentially mean for consumers. Does this make streaming more expensive? Does this make access to these services better or worse? And we're going to see if we can make sense of all of those developments. And then, because it's Wednesday, we're going to wrap up the show with an executive lounge conversation. We're going to speak to the CEO of a Growth House Financial Services, get to know her a little bit better beyond her daily responsibilities and see what we can learn about her from that perspective. Before we get to those conversations, a sense of market movements throughout the day. It has been a quieter day for this part of the week, considering how we've started off this week and this year. Only a 9 basis points move to the downside on the all share, but that's because the top 40 was down only about 1 basis point. So basically, that finished flat on the day's trade. The industrial sector was down 0.2%. The financial sector was down 0.33%, but the resources sector was up 0.8%, and that's what led to the fact that the all share only finished down just under 0.1% on the day's trade. If we look at international markets, some of them were a little more volatile. The likes of the Nikkei still playing catch up. They were up about 1.48% on the day's trade. The Nasdaq in the US is down about a full percent at this moment and still is going to be trading into the evening. The S&P is down about 0.5%. We know we have been hearing calls for valuation concerns around that, and I've got David Shapiro of Sasfin Wealth on markets today. I want to get his thoughts around that, particularly the US picture and what that means for investors going into the rest of the year. Commodity prices are still looking stable as well. Palladium has briefly dipped below $1,900. Platinum is still very close to $2,400 a fine ounce. Silver is now above $91. Again, for context, the silver price around this time of last year, the beginning of last year, was around the $20 to $30 an ounce a level. So almost a 300% gain in that respect, depending on what time of the year you're looking at. The gold price, $4,620 a fine ounce at this moment. The rand against the dollar, 16 rand 39 cents. Against the British pound, 22 rand and 4 cents, almost below 22 rand there. Against the euro, 19 rand and 10 cents. I did say I'd keep an eye on that one in particular. Now that we're off that European grey list, we might come back below 19 rand. The Australian dollar, 10 rand 95, still happily below 11 rand. The price of a Bitcoin is up 3% on the day's trade at around $96,500 a Bitcoin, or if we're looking at that in rand terms with that slightly firmer rand, it's just below 1.6 million rand at 1.582 million rand. So we're going to be back a little later on, just after the 6 p.m. news, with all of these data points and market updates to share with the SAFM community. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
Right, perfect. Thanks for that, Jimmy. 6 to 7. Enjoy your show, and let me urge listeners to look forward to that too. Right, what we still have is Parliament's ad hoc committee.
Into the allegations made by Paul O'Sullivan. On Tuesday, 22 November 2016, in the afternoon, I received a call from Mr. Cedric Nkabinde, an investigator from IPIT, who informed me that he was investigating a defeating the ends of justice case against me. The case number is there, Camille Drift, subs case 123 of 11/2016. The purpose of his call was to secure an appointment with me for a warning statement. I referred him to my office and informed my secretary that I had agreed to meet with him on Thursday, 23 November 2016 at about 1400 at IPIT offices. This appointment was rescheduled to a later date because of more important matters which required my attendance. Thus, the meeting did not take place. On Thursday, 23 November 2016, in the morning, I actually was leaving the gym that morning. Peter Louis Mayberg sent me a text message which read, "Hi, General. This is Peter Louis Mayberg from News 24. I was hoping to get your comment on the IPIT matter. I understand you have been asked to make a warning statement. Thanks." Around 9, the story was breaking news on News 24 and the national media. Despite the rescheduled meeting, because I was not going to be able to attend that afternoon meeting of the 23rd, which was already scheduled, because they were already gathered at the IPIT offices, the media. The media covered a story headlined, "Phahlane No Show at IPIT." I should also mention that without obtaining my warning statement, the case docket was processed to the National Prosecuting Authority for a decision premised on the lack of evidence. The NPA declined to prosecute. Another case, Sinoville case 146 of 5/2017. Now, this is important because this case, you will know that it was opened in May 2017. That is precisely after my appearance in Parliament to that meeting where this presentation was made by Robert McBride and IPIT. Now, why is this of significance? Somewhere we are being accused of counter-investigation. There was never a case before the case which now appears somewhere, Camille Drift case 12 of 2016 or 2017, the one that General Mabula and them was investigating. So even when you go back to page 150, that paragraph, page 66, paragraph 150, what defeating the ends of justice was being investigated? Because there was no case. O'Sullivan had deposed a newspaper to IPID. I'm on 167, just above 152. Both Robert McBride and Paul O'Sullivan continued to peddle lies and disinformation that the vehicles were purchased for my benefit and usage by family from a supplier of service to the subs, Mr. Duran Snyman and his dealership, who has never rendered any services to the police. So, amongst others, I was accused to have 7 cars. Now, what they were doing, they went to obtain the records from the institutions who financed my vehicles. If I buy, I will, for example, have had a C-Class Mercedes-Benz, and then I go and sell it and buy an E-Class. To them, on their list, I've got 2 cars, a C-Class and an E-Class. I had the Land Rover Discovery 3, I buy a Discovery 4, I've got 2 cars. I sell Navara Baki, I buy an Amarok, I've got six cars. Now the car that they were mainly looking for, today, maybe when they appear here, they will produce it. It's a BMW i8. That is the car that was used, that I used that weekend when I was attacked in Duncanveld. It is a car that belonged to BMW South Africa. BMW South Africa, because the police buy vehicles and so on, from time to time, So first, I was called by supply chain management. They wanted me to test drive an i3, one of those electronic BMWs, and I just did not have time. So it went back without me seeing it. Then they called and said, now there is an i8. I said, I'm busy.
I think you have given them enough advert. You can just say they called and promised a new vehicle. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Reality. But anyway, the car came. I drove it.
No, Chair, I was not interrupting. I wanted the General to conclude. I wanted to do a follow-up on this system of sponsoring from VW. Is there an internal mechanism for declaration of such sponsors so that no one is easily accused of having been given handouts somewhere or nicodemously? Is there an internal system? Here in Parliament, we even declare a power bank that so-and-so gave me a power bank for this reason. So do you have those, or did they have at that particular time, those internal mechanisms for declarations of such sponsors? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. While this particular car was not a sponsor, it was, what they do, they will bring occasionally a vehicle, and it's not only this particular brand that I'm talking of, for test driving and so on, and those vehicles are returned. So, for example, I only drove that car, I think it was the Saturday and the Sunday. Monday, when I went back to work, my driver took the car to them. So, while it is so that there is a mechanism for declaring even sponsorship and gifts, this one will not have fallen into that category. And the other cars that I'm referring to, your Amarok, VW, and so, those are my personal cars that were bought. But to create this narrative of corruption and so on, they will say he has got 6 cars. And of course, if I'm to have 6 cars at the go, such high-end vehicles, you need to ask, where did the money come from to buy those? Unfortunately, in this case, if you go, they retrieve even the finances from the bank. You know, what is it? And we are entitled to a vehicle finance scheme. They retrieve the statements. One of the vehicles, at least 2 or 3 of them, actually, the payment of those vehicles was being deducted on a monthly basis from my salary because I had what we call stop order. So the bank will pay the dealership.
On that issue of cars and car installments, a reminder, this is the National Pulse. We'll get right back to the ad hoc committee in a moment.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
In fact, let me do this before we even consider going back to the ad hoc committee. If we get a chance, I need to hear you out. And there's been comments, firstly, about AGOA.
Hi, Chef. My take on this AGOA story. While I don't like Donald Trump at all, I think he's the worst president that America has ever had. At the same time, America represents one of our biggest trading partners, and not everybody in America is a Donald Trump. There are some very good people in America, and we do a lot of trade with America, and not just in agricultural goods, but a lot of automotive parts go to America, and entire cars, Mercs, are exported to America from East London. So we can't just throw them out with the bath water. And I don't know, our government seems to have a penchant for antagonizing the US when we should really just be keeping quiet sometimes, in spite of what they do, and whether or not you disagree with what they're doing. It's best to sometimes just keep quiet and suck it in the name of trade and business, because a lot of people depend on AGOA. There are thousands and thousands of jobs on the line here. Okay, thanks, Mike in Quebec.
Thanks for that, Mike. Listen, I mean, to a large degree, I agree with you. I don't agree where you can keep quiet completely when you are being attacked often as a country, and maybe when your views are diametrically opposed and they are asking you to effectively change your foreign policies to suit them. I don't agree with that. Having said that, you do want to stay in the game and do business with them, however that is, and that's the delicate part of democracy, or rather diplomacy. So I think today's comment, for example, the tweet from Fikile Mbalula, I think in its answer is also a bit, and I would agree with you on that. I'd stay away from that.
Hi, Ashraf, my SFM listeners. Regarding the caller who called and your statement about the DA always saying policing is a federal government issue, I totally agree. But my question is, how does the Western Cape government decide how many police officers goes to certain areas? Because like the caller rightly said, I live in Bloberg as well, and there's heavy police presence in the nicer white suburb, let's call it what it is, and very few police presence in those areas, like the colored areas and the black areas. So my question is, how do they determine how much police officers go where? Is that a federal government reallocation distribution as well? DG Cape Town, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Good question. Maybe protection against the winds, as you know, because you're in Bloomberg. You know what I mean, right? No, but seriously, I think that could be one of the issues, like an Indian's guide for all of us in understanding the workings and the mechanism. So once an X amount is allocated to a province, who then makes the call, for example, in a province or in a city? We need to know that.
Ashraf, good afternoon, man. Flores here from the beautiful Winelands. Yeah, you know it's a new year when everyone is complaining. Everyone wants to make the first move before someone else tries to borrow money. So yeah, then you complain first before that person even opens his mouth. Have a good day, bye-bye.
Thank you. Make the first move regarding what?
You are right, Mr. Ashraf. The police are controlled by the ANC in Pretoria, not by the Western Cape government. The Western Cape government is trying every year to employ more city police, more than any other city in South Africa, in order to help South Africans in the Western Cape. So the guy cannot complain. And the people who are being looked after are the one who are bringing a lot of money to the Western Cape, employing us, black people. So they must protect it at all costs. Black people are not contributing anything. Yes, they are labor. But in terms of money, no. Those people in Brobeck are the one, those in Seapoint, Greenpoint, they are the one who are bringing a lot of money to Western Cape so that we can work past Cape Town.
Thanks for that, Pastor. There's another conversation about, selling off all those beautiful developments to foreign nationals. I'm talking about people from Europe, right? And therefore pushing South Africans out of ever investing in those properties. Bringing revenue, of course, but means they have no chance. I just wonder what you make of that too. There's more. Ashraf, South Africa will not be included in AGOA. Donald Trump wants to make an example with South Africa to show other African countries not to mess with America, and its interests come from Tabang. And another one, Ashraf, said to see how desperate the general is trying to, all he can to prove his innocence. He knows what he has lost after a 40-year career in the police must be terrible for him to end it on such a note. Let's get another comment from Impo in Randfontein. Hi, Impo.
Brother, how are you?
I'm good indeed. What's your point, Impo?
My point is that in as much as it's important to respect and to appreciate the AGOA agreement, it is equally important to ensure that we keep our sovereignty and we respect our sovereignty. Because it will be used as a blackmail if we are only to take AGOA as a blackmail. I mean, also Americans are benefiting from AGOA. They have access to our market. But you remember that not only it's benefiting economically, they also have better entry in South Africa. They are treated differently compared to any other country. So in as much as we say AGOA is our benefit, it's equal our benefit. But I want to make this point. A lot of South Africans, particularly those who come from the liberation struggle, is that it's key to know that those people who supported us are today who are oppressed by Americans. Should we dump them because we want AGOA to be there? So we also have a very important role to play. We really want to, but it would be difficult to dump people who supported us throughout.
Okay,
it is easy for those. It is easy for those who benefited from apartheid to say dump Iran, dump Cuba. It's very difficult for those of us who benefited from these people who supported us through and through.
Okay,
so that's a difficulty we have.
Right, we need to move. Time is up. Your point is interesting and very important. Thanks for putting that on the agenda. On the the point about retaining your independence, I think, is critical. On the last part of solidarity with others, I agree with you. Accepting, we must also be able to call them out when they are disregarding human rights, in terms of human rights abuses, whoever they are, even if they were our chommies, or they are our chommies. Anyway, let me just end. There's a statement from the IDT. The Independent Development Trust confirms that Tebogo Malaka has resigned from her position as the Chief Executive Officer with effect 31st of January. Without exit compensation, the board has accepted the resignation and confirms that Mr. Sifiso Nsibande seconded from the Construction Industry Development Board, that's the CIDB, will continue to serve as the acting Chief Executive Officer to ensure the organizational stability and continuity. Just some breaking news for you to think about. Right, the other breaking news, of course, is the two big games. And let me just confirm the times, okay? Egypt-Senegal is not 6 o'clock as we've been playing. It's a 7 o'clock start. And the Nigeria against Morocco game is not 9 o'clock. It's a 10 o'clock start. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, and thanks for listening in, okay? Catch the podcast of all that we do. Go to safm.co. Here's the news at 6 with Greg.
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.